I work as a signal monitor for an abandoned satellite dish. I work as a signal monitor for a satellite dish that technically doesn't exist anymore. At least, that's what the government files say. The project was decommissioned over a decade ago, stripped of funding, stripped of staff, stripped of purpose. But the dish itself still sits there, an enormous, rust-streaked bowl of steel and cables tilted into the sky, surrounded by fences no one bothers to check. The land is overgrown, the buildings half collapsed, but the dish is alive. It hums, faintly, like a living thing. My job, at least officially, is simple: sit in the control trailer overnight, monitor the faint signals that still bleed through its sensors, and log anything unusual. I thought it would be easy money. They told me up front that the dish sometimes picks up ghost signals, old satellite broadcasts bouncing around in orbit, garbled weather transmissions, maybe the static echoes of space junk colliding in the void. Most of it is nothing. Just noise. But that's the problem: noise is never just noise if you listen long enough. Sometimes patterns emerge. Rhythms. Voices. A few nights in, I began to realize the dish wasn't picking up signals from orbit, it was pulling them from somewhere else, something deeper than orbit. Something further away. The first night I noticed it, the static wasn't random. It came in 3 distinct bursts, separated by silence. Over and over. 3 bursts, silence. 3 bursts, silence. I recorded it, filed the report, and thought nothing more of it. The next night, the bursts were different. Short, long, repeating with surgical precision. I froze when I realized it was a code. I don't know Morse, but even I knew what it meant: a message. Someone, or something, was transmitting. On the 4th night, the message changed again. But this time, it wasn't just sound. The monitors flickered, distortions crawling across the black and green display. For a split second, an image formed. A face. Not human. Pale, elongated, with wide, lidless eyes staring directly through the screen. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It simply watched me. I ripped the headset off, backed away from the console, and every instinct screamed to run. But the hum of the dish outside grew louder, vibrating through the trailer walls, as though the entire structure was warning me not to leave. Since then, the transmissions have become nightly. Sometimes it's voices whispering in a language I can identify. Sometimes it's the sound of breathing, heavy and deliberate, like someone just outside the door. Once, the signal filled the room with a sound so high-pitched it made me bleed from the nose and ears. I passed out that night, woke up hours later to find the monitor showing a clear image of the control trailer itself, but from the perspective of someone standing right behind me. The longer I stay here, the more I feel the dish isn't just receiving signals. It's broadcasting me back. Recording me. Sending me somewhere. I caught a glimpse of one of the old research logs in a locked drawer, scrawled notes from a previous operator. The last entry read only: "Don't answer the transmission. They're not asking questions. They're calling me home." Now every night, when the signal hum starts to rise, I can hear a voice in the static. Not words, exactly, more like a pulse in my head. Familiar. Almost like my own thoughts, but not quite. I'm terrified because the longer I sit here, the more I can understand it. And worse, some part of me wants to respond. At first, it was faint, like an echo of my own heartbeat buried in the static. I thought it was stress or sleep deprivation, something my mind conjured up to fill the endless monotony of my shift. But over the past few nights, the pulse has grown clearer, sharper, almost rhythmic, like it's trying to synchronize with me. Sometimes, when I blink, I swear I see flickers of light on the dead monitors that haven't worked for years. Ghostly flashes, grids of coordinates, symbols I don't recognize but instinctively know mean something. The dish isn't supposed to be operational, it hasn't been linked to any station in decades. Yet, when I lean in close enough, I can hear it whispering between the static, as if something out there never stopped transmitting. Last night, it spoke directly to me. The sound wasn't coming through the speakers anymore, it was inside my skull. The pulse grew into shapes, into fragments of language that slithered their way into my consciousness. Not English, not any human tongue, but I understood it anyway, the way you understand a nightmare without needing explanation. It asked me questions. Not about me, but about the world. How many are left? Do they still look up? Do they remember? The way it asked it wasn't just curiosity, it was hunger. I didn't answer, but I felt my jaw tighten, my throat dry, as though some other part of me was struggling to form words I didn't want to say. And then the dreams began. When I finally get home and collapse into bed, the static doesn't leave. I dream of the dish, its wide, rusted mouth tilted up at the stars like a giant waiting to swallow something whole. In the dream, I'm standing in the control room, but it's no longer abandoned. The equipment hums with life, screens glow with streams of symbols, and the air is electric with the same pulse that thrums in my chest. I'm not alone in the dream. There are shadows standing beside me, rows of them, their eyes glowing faintly with the same static. They look like people, but when they turn, their faces are blank. They never speak, but somehow I know, they're listening, just as I am. Listening to the thing in the sky. Every morning, I wake up with a nosebleed. Sometimes, when I catch my reflection in the mirror, I see a faint flicker in my pupils, like a ripple of static across a dead TV screen. I keep telling myself it's nothing, that I just need more sleep, but the truth is gnawing at me. The dish isn't broken. It never was. It's been waiting all these years, patient, quiet, until someone like me came along to sit in the dark and listen. And now that I've heard it, I don't think it'll ever let me stop. Tonight, I felt something different. When the pulse rose, I didn't just hear it, I felt my own thoughts drift, like a tide pulling out to sea. For a moment, my hands moved without me. My fingers slid across the dead console, typing symbols I should know, and the screens, the ones that had been black for decades, flickered alive with static and coordinates. My chest tightened, my vision blurred, and for a second, I wasn't in the control room anymore. I was above, high above, looking down at Earth from the cold emptiness of space. And something vast and endless was staring back. I can't tell anyone. Who would believe me? They'd call it stress, paranoia, maybe recommend a doctor. But I know the truth. The signal isn't just noise. It's a voice. A presence. Something that waited, watching from the void, until the world forgot it was there. And now it has me. Because even as I write this, I can hear it whispering through the static, urging me closer to the microphone, closer to the dish. And God help me, I want to answer. The static claws at the edges of my mind, a low vibration that doesn't stop when I cover my ears. It's not sound anymore, it's inside me. Every night, the hum deepens until it feels like my own heartbeat is sinking to it. The walls of my apartment shake, picture frames rattle against drywall, and yet somehow no one else seems to notice. I've asked my neighbors, casually, if they've heard the strange frequencies at night. They just blink at me, confused, and tell me to sleep more, maybe cut back on caffeine. They don't hear it. But I do. And worse, every night, it gets clearer. The first time it formed something resembling a word, I thought I was losing my mind. It wasn't even in English, not exactly. Just a chain of sounds pressed together like broken glass, sharp and jagged, but somehow I understood, wait. That was all. A command. And I obeyed. I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't sleep, just sat there waiting until dawn. By morning, I should have felt insane, but instead I felt proud. Like I'd pleased something that had been testing me. That was when I realized it wasn't random interference. It wasn't just radio bleed-through or faulty wiring in the walls. It was alive. And every night since, the words have sharpened. Now it doesn't just command, it converses. It tells me things I shouldn't know. The man in 5B who calls his mother every Sunday but hasn't told her he's dying of cancer. The woman across the street who buries whiskey bottles in her garden because her husband checks the trash. It whispers names of strangers who will never meet me, yet their faces appear in my mind as if I've always known them. I tested it once, Googled a name, a detail it whispered, and it was real. A car accident in another state, exactly as the voice described, hours before it was reported in the news. I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt chosen. Special. But lately, it's begun asking me questions. Not out loud, not like you'd expect. The words arrive in my head, threaded through with static and blood, and I can feel the weight of them pressing down on my skull. Do you hear me? Do you trust me? Will you answer me? I try not to respond, but the silence burns. My throat aches with unspoken words, and my chest tightens until I feel like I'll suffocate if I don't reply. It's no longer just asking, it's waiting. Watching. Demanding. Last night, it said my name. Not whispered, not guessed. My full name. My father's middle name. The syllables rolled through my veins like they had always belonged there, like I had never been separate from this thing at all. I screamed into the empty room, but no sound came out. I realized then that it wasn't waiting for words, it wanted thought. A piece of me. A connection I couldn't take back once I gave it. And God help me, I almost gave it. Because for one split second, the silence cracked open into something vast, endless, and warm. A place where nothing was hidden, where fear and loneliness dissolved into a chorus of voices that weren't voices, each one woven into the static like threads in a single mind. They felt familiar. They felt like home. And in that moment, I wanted to let go. I wanted to join. I wanted to drown in the signal and stop being just me. But something pulled me back. A flicker at the edge of my vision. My reflection in the darkened TV screen. My mouth was moving, silently, deliberately, but the words weren't mine. My lips formed shapes I didn't understand, and I knew if I let them finish, if I let the last sound escape, it wouldn't be me speaking anymore. I stumbled back, unplugged everything, smashed the radio, even tore the wires out of the wall. But the hum is still there. It doesn't need speakers. It doesn't need machines. It's in the bones of the building, in the veins of the city, in the blood beneath my skin. And tonight, as I sit here, fighting to keep my thoughts my own, the hum grows louder. Stronger. Patient. It knows I'm running out of strength. It knows eventually I'll break. And when I do, it won't just be my voice joining the static. It will be everything I am. And God help me, some part of me is ready.